Before the pyramids, before the wheel had finished spreading across the ancient world, before almost anything you were taught to call the beginning of history, there was a city of mud and starlight called Sumer. And somewhere in the ruins of that city, half buried in a shelf of forgotten clay, there is said to be a tablet unlike any other. It does not record grain. It does not record kings. It records a warning. It says the cats were sent to watch us, and it describes, line by line, exactly what they report back. Stay with me, because once you hear what this tablet claims, you will never look at the animal sitting in your window the same way again. The Sumerians wrote on clay. They pressed wedge-shaped marks into wet earth and let the sun harden their words into stone, and because of that, their thoughts survived 5,000 years when entire empires turned to dust. We have their receipts, their tax records, their love poems, their complaints about bad copper from a merchant who cheated them. We know these people were meticulous, practical, obsessed with counting, measuring, recording. They were not a people who invented monsters out of thin air. When a Sumerian scribe took the time to press something permanent into clay, it was because he believed it mattered. Which is what makes this particular tablet so unsettling. According to the story that surrounds it, the tablet begins not with a name or a date, but with a single strange phrase, translated roughly as, "The watchers came down soft-footed, and we did not hear them arrive." Soft-footed. In a language obsessed with precision, that word choice is deliberate. The Sumerians had gods who arrived in storms, in floods, in fire falling from the sky. Their myths are loud, their gods shake the earth. But these watchers came silently. They came, the tablet says, in a shape that would not frighten us, a shape small enough to sleep in our homes, a shape we would feed with our own hands and never once suspect. The tablet calls them, in one translation, the eyes that do not close in the dark. And anyone who has ever woken at 3 in the morning to find a cat sitting perfectly still at the foot of the bed, staring at something in the corner that you cannot see, knows exactly what that phrase feels like in the pit of the stomach. Now here is where the tablet becomes truly strange. It does not describe the cats as pets. It does not describe them as gods, though the Egyptians would later come dangerously close to that. It describes them as observers, placed among us, assigned to us, each one, the text suggests, given a single household to record, the way a scribe is given a ledger, the way a watchman is given a wall. And the word it uses for what they do, the closest scholars can get, is not watch, it is remember. The cats were sent to remember us. Think about that for a moment. Think about how a cat actually moves through your home. It does not follow you the way a dog follows you, out of loyalty, out of love, out of that desperate need to be near you. A cat observes. It positions itself. It chooses the high shelf, the windowsill, the top of the doorway, always the vantage point, always the angle from which it can see the most and be seen the least. It watches you eat. It watches you argue with someone you love. It watches you sit down at the kitchen table at midnight and cry into your hands. And it does not come to comfort you. And it does not leave the room either. It simply watches. And, if the tablet is right, it remembers. The text, according to those who claim to have read it, breaks these reports into categories. 3 of them, and this is the part that raises the hair on the back of the neck. The first thing the cats report back, it says, is how we treat what is weaker than us. The child, the elderly, the animal smaller than themselves, the stranger with nothing to offer in return. The tablet suggests this is the primary measure, that the watchers were never interested in our wars, or our monuments, or our gold, but in the small, private, unwitnessed moments when no one important was looking, and we quietly chose to be gentle, or quietly chose not to be. The moments we thought didn't count. Those, the tablet says, were the only ones that ever counted at all. The second thing they report is what we do with our nights. The Sumerians believed the truest version of a person only emerged in darkness, when the work was finished and the masks came off and there was no audience left to perform for. And so the cats, the eyes that do not close in the dark, were said to keep their most careful record then, who we speak to when we believe we are alone, what we whisper into the black, what we are afraid of when the sun goes down and cannot be reasoned with anymore. And the third category, is the one that the people who tell this story tend to lower their voices for. The tablet says the cats report whether we have begun to remember them, whether we have started to suspect, whether across the long, slow drift of centuries, humanity has finally looked into those unreadable eyes and understood that something is looking back. Because the arrangement, the tablet warns, only holds as long as we remain unaware of it. The watching only works while the watched believe they are simply living beside a small and harmless animal. The moment we understand, truly understand, something changes, and the tablet does not say what. Now, I want to be honest with you, because you deserve honesty, and because the truth is stranger than any lie I could tell you. No museum has this tablet on public display. Its supposed translation passes from teller to teller, like a flame passed hand to hand down a dark corridor, growing warmer and stranger with every retelling. Serious skeptics say it is a modern invention wearing an ancient costume, a story stitched together to give an old feeling a new face. And they may be entirely right. But ask yourself why this story, out of all the thousands of stories, simply refuses to die. Ask yourself why every ancient civilization that ever truly mattered, Sumer, Egypt, Rome, Japan, and a dozen more, arrived independently, across oceans and centuries that separated them, at the very same uneasy reverence for this one small creature. The Egyptians did not merely like cats. They mummified them by the millions. They shaved their own eyebrows in mourning when a household cat died. They passed laws making the killing of a cat punishable by death. They built an entire goddess in the shape of a house cat and set her to guard the fragile boundary between the living and the dead. Where did that fear come from? What did they see, standing in the torchlight thousands of years ago, that we have somehow forgotten how to see? And ask yourself the quietest question of all: why does a cat look at you the way it does? Not the way any other animal looks at you. Not with hunger, not with fear, not with the open devotion of a dog that would follow you off the edge of the world, but with something cooler, something patient, something ancient, something that seems, in certain still moments, to be quietly taking notes. You have felt it. Everyone who has ever shared a home with a cat has felt it. That slow flick of the eyes across a darkened room, that unmistakable sensation of being assessed, weighed, measured, recorded, by an intelligence that has decided, for reasons entirely its own, to go on living in your house and eating your food and revealing absolutely nothing about what it actually wants from you. We tell ourselves it is instinct. We tell ourselves it is just an animal, just biology, just a small predator that happened to move indoors. It is easier that way. It lets us sleep. The tablet ends, if the story is to be believed, with a final line. And of all the strange words pressed into that ancient clay, this is the one that stays with people long after they have decided the whole thing is nonsense and tried to laugh it off. It says, "Be kind in the rooms where you think no one can see you. There is always one who sees," and she is writing it down. So tonight, when the house finally goes quiet and the lights go low, and you feel that familiar warm weight settle onto the end of your bed, turn, slowly, and look. Look into those eyes that do not close in the dark, and understand that whatever the truth is, whatever ancient arrangement was or was not carved into a shelf of Sumerian clay 5,000 years ago, one thing about this is undeniably, provably, uncomfortably real. Something in this world has been watching us, patiently, silently, from the corners and the high shelves of our homes, for as long as we have had homes at all. It watched the very first city rise out of the mud. It will, in all likelihood, watch the last one fall into dust. And it has never, not once, in all those thousands of years, told us a single thing about what it knows. Maybe it is only a cat. Or maybe the Sumerians were trying to warn us across 5,000 years of silence, and we simply stopped listening, curled up beside the warmth, closed our eyes, and let ourselves be watched. If this made you look a little differently at the creature sitting in your window tonight, stay a while longer. There are older tablets than this one, and stranger warnings still waiting in the clay, and we have only just begun to read them.